chair.
Okay,
I can feel
I'm
the
just
pole
gonna...
going up my anus.
Awesome. We are recording, just so that you know.
Today we are working on the HMAS Pacer, like usual. We haven't been working on it for a little bit. We've had other small jobs that have jumped in and out. And finally, after way too long, in my opinion, we're straight back on it and doing the hard bits.
So what is the HMAS Pacer? It's a...
HMAS Pacer is a mustard yellow VG Pacer sedan, and it's very rusty. And why it's called HMAS Pacer is because it looks like it's been picked from the bottom of the ocean, and it's got rust in every single possible area a Pacer could have it.
Right. So far, what have you already fixed on this side of the car here that we can see?
What we can see from here is the rear pillar, lower section of the roof. We could probably see the dog leg over here. The whole sill on this side, that's all brand new. This inner guard, this lower section, so all boot extension depending on where you're from. And we're halfway through making a new quarter section of this. So yeah.
But before we put on the new lower quarter, what was the wheel arch like?
Wheel arch was pretty bad, and here's the bit that we cut out, and here's what was behind it. So she was pretty rough, in my opinion.
Right, so you've already replaced the section behind it, and you've rust treated that, and you've had to make this section here.
Yeah, so I've already made the rear section, did a little bit of shaping, make it the correct shape. So if anyone were to duck their head into the back of the wheel arch, they could see, oh yeah, that doesn't look like it's been touched. So, and we've done the hard part now, which is shaping this internal piece of steel, so to the correct shape, to the correct profiles of the other piece. And I made a big paper template all the way up the panel to get all the correct profiles. So, yeah.
And you did all of that before you cut out the rusty bit. Now, why is this bit particularly difficult? It's
difficult because it has every single type of curl and bend and shape under the book. So it's got to bend this way, like this. It's got your bend this way, and that bend this way slowly radiuses all the way down the panel and slowly fades out. And it's got a sharp line that runs across into there. So, and it's got to match with, or as close as you can get to the wheel arch shape, and hopefully making sure that the wheel arch is the same. Probably the best way to do it is running a chrome mold, a wheel arch mold in it. That gives you the shape. So.
Okay. So what did you start off first? You made a paper template, then...
I made a massive paper template down the quarter panel from about top. So marking every single line all the way down through here, all the lines there, cutting holes in the paper template, sticking it to the steel. And where we had you had to guess, you just look at the other side, or you look at photos and you go and you base off that. Yeah, I made the paper template, pulled the paper template out, and as you know, you'll pull the paper template out and it'll go out flat. So you lay it on a big sheet of steel and you cut small holes in the paper template where your lines are. You dot your lines down in those small holes, and then you pull out your ruler and you mark out your straight lines.
Sort of like
and
join the dots.
Yeah, it's like join the dots. So and you get as close as you can get. Then you run over to your plenishing hammer, which is right over here, and you sit there for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, sitting there shaping the panel slowly and carefully. And then you go onto your bead roller and you go onto your shrinker stretcher and you slowly shape it until you have the correct shape, and making sure that you're running across the correct lines and constantly going on and off the panel before you cut the panel out, on and off the panel, making sure it's the correct shape.
So right up until this point, you've still got the rusty piece of the panel in there. You haven't taken it out.
Yeah, right up to this point, I haven't done anything with the rusty piece of the panel. I haven't even cut out the back and done the repair to the back. So it's just stayed in there because you need it as a guide on where everything sits. And as you're making the shape, it should slot into your spot, and it should slot in relatively tightly into your spot. And yeah, after that, after you make your shape, you cut you mark out your steel out here. In this particular situation, you mark out your steel that's on the car, and you cut down the lines of the steel, cut where your marks are, cut as straight as you can, and then you take the steel off, take the rusted affected area out. You do your repairs on your behind, which I've already done, and you place your affected area, your affected area over the top of your new area that you've done your rough shaping to. You mark it out, you cut it slightly a little bit bigger, and then you slowly file fit it to shape. And then you do your final shaping after that, which in this case was literally only just shaping the panel to the wheel arch properly.
Okay, so now next you'll be tacking it in.
Yes, the next step is to tack it in, get it all right, and do our panel beading wherever we need it, and then we slowly and carefully weld across the whole panel. But we don't weld the base. We leave the base. That's why we still got overhang. We leave the base because part of the overhang will keep the panel in shape and will stop it from warping too much. Won't completely stop it, but it will stop it from warping too much because it puts a little bit of strength in the steel. And the other part is you can slide your flat long dollies up in between the panel, and you can panel beat your top line.
Yep.
So in this situation, you can sort of get into the top, but you can't properly get up there.
Now, you work a lot with very thin panel steel. What is the secret to working with panel steel?
Turn down your amps, and you have to be slow. You can't rush it. You rush it, you stuff it, and it becomes really, really hard to repair.
Especially when you're working on a big, long, straight panel like this one.
Big, long, straight panels or high carbon steel. High carbon steel is a pain in the butt to weld.
So the next time we're shooting this, you should have this spotted in, maybe, or maybe welded in, and we'll be at the panel beating part. And you and Dad will be panel beating because that'll be a 2-up job, yeah?
Yeah. So it's a 2-person job. So we'll have it either tacked in or fully welded, and we'll have, if it's fully welded, we'll have the heads welded, ground off the welds, and then we'll be tapping across.
Okay. And do you think it'll be Dad that we shoehorn in the boot, or will that be your wonderful job?
It's always me. It's never Dad. Dad can't fit in there, so it'll be me shoehorned in the boot in the awkward positions.
I'm so glad it's you and not me. So, see you in the next bit.
Cool. Picking up from where we left off, I've skipped a couple steps. So I was intending on showing you the panel beating process and all that, but I sort of got carried away with Dad and I and got it to how you see it now. So what we've done so far is we've done a bunch of tacks, just a bunch of 1-inch tacks across the top. And when I tacked it, is of course the side of the weld, the side where the weld pulls up the most, is going to shrink the most. And it is shrunk and bent the steel like that. So, which is of course what's going to happen. So I've sat there with Dad and I've sat there and panel beaded the steel all flat, and then we've done a series of more tacks in between all the other tacks, and I've panel beaded all of it back flat, and I've done another set of tacks after that, and I panel beaded that flat, and then I finished through with all the welding. So, and it came up pretty nice. There's still a bulge here, which I've got to get out, which was expected to happen. So the steel's going to warp and move in weird shapes, and yep. So when you were panel beating it, you welded the top lip first. What bit did you weld first? Was this upper lip, yeah? So when I was panel beating it, when I started tacking, I tacked across the whole piece. So, but I didn't tack across there, and I didn't tack over the base. So I tacked across the whole entire piece, over about an inch gap between each tacks, and then another tack in between each of them. Doing panel beating, you're panel beating on the tack to stretch the tack back out so it flattens the steel out, and also next to the tack and in between all the welds to flatten it all out.
And that's why you left the bottom open so that you could get a dolly up?
Yes, I left the bottom open so I could slide a dolly all the way up into the quarter panel. I do have it laying around somewhere. So I use a spatula like this and a hammer, a flat one like that. So you just slide it up into there, and slide it to about there, let's say the tack's about here. Slide it up into there and you just tap over the top. You don't tap real hard, so you tap reasonably soft, but not too soft that it does nothing, but yeah, just hard enough. When you're tapping, you want to be able to like put your finger between it and not feel too much pain, only a little bit of pain. That varies between people as well. So yeah, just tap all the welds, not like that. Tap all the welds across the top and all the way down here. So I did some weird contortionary effect through here, and it did weird stuff through here, which I was expecting through here, because there's a line that runs across through there. So and it did weird stuff to try to flatten out everything. So then I cut the wheel arch. It's really hard to get the wheel arch perfect and get the line perfect. So yeah, we cut the wheel arch, and the welds do look a bit crappy because there's two pieces, but there's this piece of steel right behind it. So it's like a butted piece of steel. So, and what happens is contaminants and gases and all that, and the zinc tries to escape through the weld, and it will blow the weld out and put porosity through the weld. So what you just have to do is you grind it down to roughly where I've done it now, and then you just go over it and weld up all the little tacks, weld up all the little holes, like there is still a couple through here and a couple through here. Haven't quite attacked that yet. So, and yeah, and another trick is when you're welding the top and the base, or not the base, but the top, is slide a piece of wood down in there. So in between the wheel arch and the piece of steel, to stop this from shrinking as much. It will still shrink, and it will still
just to apply a bit of pressure,
wobble and do stuff. So it will just apply just enough pressure to stop it from wobbling and doing weird stuff. So and then, because the last thing you want is to put a tack there and then it sucks the whole body lines down, and then you have a line that does this up top, and the line does that, and the line does that, and the panel's nearly perfectly flat. So that's the last thing you want.
So you're not finished yet. You've still got a little bit more work to do.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of man-hours still left in this. So this is like I would say about the halfway step on the assembly part. So I'll be probably 3/4 the way through, because I've already done all the shaping through here.
Yep.
So another thing that we did is, when welding this up, when making this shape, we've overbent this. So we've overcurled this, expecting it for when you weld it, if there is any gap or any weird stuff happen, to take the bend out of there. So it's the easiest area for the bend to come out, because it's a curl, not a sharp bend. So it has pulled some of the bend out. So which is what we wanted, because it was overbent. So yeah, it looks pretty nice at pretty straight the way it is. So no weird wobblies through here and any of that.
So you're kind of happy with the way this is going?
So far it's going not too bad.
So the next step, we'll see it all finished?
Oh, probably. Next step, you'll probably
finished?
see this section all through here done.
Yep.
So I've got to put a bend across the top here, and yeah, and then weld it to the flat steel. And
reshape it just a little bit.
Yep.
So we'll keep you updated.
So yeah.
Superb.
I've cut and made the panel fit, and I've welded it all up. So I've ground it all down flush to copy the other side, because the other side's got a new old stock quarter on it. Yeah. So with all our panels, we weld gal and zinc. In this one it's gal. This one's zinc. It makes it a bit difficult to weld. So and a lot of places don't use it because of that exact reason. But don't want to come down 10, 20 years down the line and have to do the repair again, because it just makes our workmanship look crap. So and we don't want to spend the customer's money twice. So
yep. So you've welded in these sections, you've custom made the wheel arch section, you've used a rust repair section that we've had zinced for the lower quarter, but again you've had to reshape it because they're not 100%, and you've made the end cap. Now you have sometimes had to use donor cars to make templates because parts of this car were quite bad, like the end cap on this car.
yeah, so in the meantime, I've shaped and reshaped this panel to the correct shape, making sure it was perfect. And I've had to initially guesstimate on the shape of this from what I had left. I made it pretty close, but just before we welded it in and got it all perfect, we had a customer's car in that was a VG, and I took a template and I took measurements and all that off it, and found that, it's a bit too bulbous and it sticks out a little bit, so I had to just do a little bit of modification, just cut a slit in the back of it and pull it in a little bit. It wasn't a really difficult modification, so it's come up great. It is a very difficult shape to make because it's got to curl this way, and it curls that way, and it's sharp, and there's a sharp line on the bottom of it. So, but yeah, I couldn't make any template of what was left, so it was destroyed. So,
We'll show the people what was left.
there was nothing.
There was more, for the overlay that you saw earlier on of the wheel arch, there was more wheel arch left than there was end cap, that's for sure.
Yeah, so like the whole top half of this was nearly gone, and there was so many holes in the bottom. It was worse than a bit of Swiss cheese. So
it's a spaghetti strainer.
Yeah, it was worse than that.
So the rear quarter of this car has actually come up really nice. You've taken the rest of the paint off and you found a little surprise about halfway up.
Yeah, so we've gotten to a point and we've gone, okay, well, we need to start doing some panel beating onto the top here. So this side came up really, really good. So and with very, very little ripples and stuff. So actually mainly where I tack welded the piece on. So I've gone, okay, well now it's the time to start grinding all the paint off and the sound deadening off from behind. So because it was a bit patchy, it was a patchy job, and I went, there's something wrong here. So I ground all the sound deadening off.
So you were in the boot?
I was in the boot, and I ground all the sound deadening off to a point to about up here. And I looked here and I went, something's happened there, that doesn't look right. And I saw this little tiny pin dent. We saw this dent and there's a dent here as well. We could see that from the outside, but I went, there's something wrong here. This was the main patchy bit. It looked like someone had sprayed sound deadener over bits that had chipped off. Well, they did. So I went, hang on a minute. This ain't right. I put a ruler on it from the inside. I went, hang on. This quarter panel looks dead arrow straight on the outside. There's something wrong here.
So the stonemasons got it right when they bogged it up?
The stonemasons did a pretty decent job at their the plasterers. They did a pretty decent job. So I just went, okay, well, I've done the inside now. I'll just mark where it is. So I just grabbed the angle grinder with the stripping disc on it. Just went, and it went in probably, I don't know, about 10 mil.
Yeah.
And I went, holy crap. I went, oh my God, there's something real wrong here. I went, okay, well, I guess I'm stripping the whole quarter panel down. So I stripped the whole quarter panel down, and it just kept getting worse. So it may not look super horrible on camera other than this section, but what it's actually done is it's pulled the whole panel in from here to there. So the whole panel's pushed in. And so they had filled it with body fill all the way to there, which it's not the way to do a repair, and it looks like they've had a crack at repairing it, and then they've given up and they're going whack, 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 bashed it in and then filled it.
So you're going to panel beat that out?
Yeah, I'm gonna spend probably the most half of a day pulling that out.
Yeah, and because
it's
this
not
is
an easy spot, and because this panel is dead arrow straight, and this one has a slight curl in it, it's gonna be really hard to get it perfect.
So we'll be testing your patience with the panel beating. But other than that, this quarter is looking fantastic.
Yeah, the quarter panel's looking great.
What are you moving on to next after you've finished panel beating that quarter?
After this quarter panel's done and metal finish and all perfect, I'll undercoat it. I'll go over it with some undercoat, and I'll just leave it the way it is. Spot weld all this, undercoat it, make it all perfect. And in the meantime, I've done some panel beating on the rear stone tray. I've made it straight and filled up a couple of holes. So I want to drill some holes in it and cut a hole on it. And,
yeah, that'll be for a tow bar.
Yeah, it had a tow bar on it at one stage, and all that stuff. I'm gonna probably jump across onto the other quarter panel, which is
an interesting one.
Big job. It is a big job, probably about as big as this side.
Yes.
So not because this is all destroyed, but it's actually because it's a new old stock wagon quarter panel. So the whole end's different. As you know, a wagon has like a V rear end, so or a Ute rear end. So I've at the current moment I've cut down here at a rough angle, left lip over to fold over, and I've got to cut in the end and make another one of these. So I have a template now, so I can base everything off, and I've got to also make the whole top. So the whole top all the way down to the front, I've got to make all brand new. That's going to be an interesting one to hand make.
But the other quarter is beyond salvage.
The other quarter panel, well, the other quarter panel was bronzed on.
Yeah.
So someone had gone at a hack job, and just laziness is the killer of old cars. Laziness, where people have gotten impatient and they've gone, okay, well, I have this car that's sitting in a paddock, it's been smashed in the front, I'll just cut the quarter panel off that and bronze it on and not even wash the flux away.
Yeah.
No, I can't wash the flux away.
These cars weren't worth much, so the people did cheap repairs. Now they're well and truly worth saving. So that's the update on the HMAS Pacer. So more updates on YouTube later, and of course don't forget to tune in to Rides Down Under Workshop Wars when we do some more updates.
Yep.
That's a good height. If you like this video, don't forget to click like and leave a comment. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe and click the notification bell. If you like the t-shirts that you see the crew wearing, there's a link in the description below where you can grab some for yourself. Thanks for watching.